jpeg2RAW, show number 50. Can you guys believe show number 50? And I know I said I would have the new webpage designed by show number 50, and I don't.
You were hedging on that anyway.
I've been saying the last.
You're feeling like I am most days.
I've been saying the last few weeks that I'm a little behind on that, so we'll get that going soon. I can't believe we made 50. You know, jpeg2RAW is a weekly free podcast that we have been doing video ever since show number 4 when Tim Kemperle came on. And we're available live, like people are watching now, or on iTunes, on Stitcher Radio. We have a good following on Stitcher Radio, guys, and YouTube, and anywhere else you can get a podcast through a podcast catcher. I use Beyond Pod on my Android phone to get it. So you can use something like that, or get it from iTunes on your iPad or iOS device, whatever. We also have a Facebook page and a Facebook group. Go out. Our group is really active. We've got a lot of new members out there, a lot of discussion going on, and even now we're having a monthly contest. One of our members came up with a contest, and our first subject is summer. And what we're going to do there, because we don't, this is a free podcast. It's all we don't do this for money. We don't generate a lot of money. What we're doing here instead is we're going to the winner. We're going to have 3 people who are selected by vote by people liking the photo, and the 3 top people will then be judged by the admins, which is you, Kathleen, Tim, myself, and we have a new admin, Gina Perry. The 4 of us will pick the winner. And the winner's photo will be the top photo, whatever that thing is called. You know what it's called? Mm-hmm. The placeholder photo. We'll show all 3. We'll show all 3 photos on the podcast. We'll say who took the photos, and in the show notes we'll give links back to their site so they can get some traffic back to their site. And I think one of our members of also, Stacy Jensen from a few shows back, is going to give the winner each month a gift card toward buying some of her stuff. So very
Pretty
good.
Cool.
And,
yeah.
And the winner also gets to pick the next month's topic.
We already have some really great images out there, but the month is just getting started, and you have the whole month to go ahead and enter something. So it has to be taken during the month of the contest. So whatever you submit has to be taken during the month of August for the August competition. And it's a lot of fun because it gets you out there, gets you shooting for something other than clients. If you're a client photographer, you can use some of your work. If you run a business, that's fine too. But it just kind of gets you thinking towards a specific goal, which is not always something we do naturally. So it's really awesome.
That's part of the thing there. It's not necessarily so you can get your photo on our podcast, but to get us out there and encouraged to shoot. Maybe something we wouldn't have shot anyway. As the time goes on, people will come up with subjects that maybe I haven't shot before or something like that. And you get to see, you can come up with the word summer, and people can be creative in what that means. It means something different. Each topic will mean something different to somebody else. It's not always the same. I just checked right before the show, and we, for the first time, have gone over the limit on the Amazon. I've said before, if you're going to buy something from Amazon, go through our site and click the link. We finally have gone over the $100 mark. It takes a while because we don't get much in credits. And as soon as they send us that money, we will then turn that over and do a giveaway. We'll use that device.
Wahoo!
So we should have that coming up soon. But we, right now, we have the Drobo giveaway.
Which is just, I'm sorry, it is insane that we're being able to give away a Drobo.
Yes.
I mean, if you are in chat and you don't know what a Drobo is, just go, don't even read what it is, just look at the price tag and you will want to win it. And then after you win it, you can figure out what you're supposed to do with it. But trust me, you want it. It's awesome.
Yeah, so if you haven't signed up, go out to our website. There's a link direct to it, Drobo giveaway. And no, we didn't pitch in and buy that. A friend, we have another friend who does a podcast. He got it as a demo, and then the Drobo told them they can give it away. So we're working together in that giveaway, and they're going to come on our show next week. Yeah, next week. At the end of that show will be the last minute you can sign up, and then that Thursday, which is August 16th, we'll go on their show, and we'll actually pick the winner. So next week's going to be an exciting week.
This is one of those times that I wish I was not a host so I could win.
Yeah. Jared, guests are able to win, so if you want to sign up, you're more than welcome. and we've had a few former guests. We also have, I don't know if y'all seen this, but Seth White, one of our members.
Uh-huh.
I am horrible at doing graphics. I'm not a very creative person. And so Seth said, hey, Seth White, who's out in chat and who's one of our listeners from Stitcher, said, hey, how about I try and do a little graphic for you? So I don't know if he wants me to show the prototype. This is very early in the stage, and it's probably.
I like it personally. I think it looks great.
It may not look like this when we're done, but it shows some of his creativity. I'm going to show it. Whoop,
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, there it is. So it's coming up now. Not ShootDotEdit. That's coming in just a minute.
I like it.
Ooh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so
I'm really liking that.
He's doing good with it. He and I are talking back and forth and getting some tweaks to it. But I know probably both you and Tim are more creative than me. So
me?
Well, okay, let's say this. Kathleen, you're probably more creative than Tim and I combined.
There you go. That's more like it.
So if feel free to work with Seth if you want.
I really like what he's doing. It looks awesome so far. Looks great.
Yeah, he's done great.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, and Kathleen, you have news. A new camera on the way.
I do. I just put my order in and actually got the notification that my new 5D Mark III is being shipped to me. So hopefully I will have it by Friday or Saturday. But, just kind of waiting, playing the waiting game. I was in between the Nikon D800 and the Canon 5D Mark III. I decided to go with the Mark III because of the megapixels that the Nikon has is just too much and too crazy for me to have to fret about storage on my computer. I didn't want to do that. And then also they're having focus issues. So didn't want to put my foot in that either.
We talked about this in the pre-show, and some of the D800s are having some focus issues. And if you're not familiar with that, just go on Google and type in D800 focus issues, and you'll see. So for me, I am a Nikon shooter. I will remain a Nikon shooter. I'm not going to switch over. Not because I have anything against Canon, just because I'm going to stay Nikon.
It's just expensive to switch once you get on one bandwagon.
So I'm either going to wait for those issues to be resolved or do something else. Because my D2X, I don't know, Jared will tell us in a minute what he shoots, but it probably is newer than my D2X, which was a great camera for its time, and in many cases still is a great camera. It's just with a max ISO 800, it just is, and at 800 it's pretty noisy. It's really showing its age.
Yeah.
So, but speaking of Jared is our guest tonight, and Jared is the president of ShootDotEdit. And I can't remember I should have looked this up before we came on, but back when we had Ryan and Denise, the husband and wife wedding photographers from Arizona, they mentioned they used an outsourcing
I
editing.
think they were the first ones that mentioned that they outsourced their work, and honestly, like, that information kind of hit me like a ton of bricks because I had never personally heard of that before. And what I was commenting on is how much I loved their editing style, and so I said, tell me about your post-processing style, and they kind of looked at each other and giggled, and they said, we outsource. And I'm like, what?
The same thing.
And then they told us they use ShootDotEdit.
I was doing the same thing. I was looking at all their photos and saying how much I loved all their photos. And it's a combination here. They had to take good photos to begin with.
Right.
But then the editing, was done excellent too, because it's both parties at that point. Once you've really, for any photographer, it's the shooting and the editing. Whether you do it in conjunction with someone else or whatever. It's both parts. And we were seeing the end results, and they were gorgeous.
Right.
And that's when they mentioned ShootDotEdit.
Yes, and one thing I love about ShootDotEdit is they have this thing called the color wizard that basically it's intuitive, so it tells ShootDotEdit exactly how you like your images, and so they will edit towards your style. So that's something I want to talk to Jared about at some point, about how all of that works. So, even when you look at Ryan and Denise's work, even though ShootDotEdit is doing the actual edit, it still has the look and feel of exactly what Ryan and Denise want in their images. They are the ones that inspired it, which I love that.
Well, so let's go ahead and introduce Jared Bauman. I said it right?
You got it.
Jared, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you're the co-founder of ShootDotEdit, right?
I am. I'm one of the. I'm one of the few that gets to say that. I'm also one of the few who's had to go through all the doldrums when outsourcing was a 4-letter word there for a long time, and get it to the point where it is now. I don't know if it's. I suppose we don't really say it's a 4-letter word anymore. It seems to be a little more acceptable nowadays.
Yeah. Totally. Well, that's not all you do, Jared. I was looking up. I was Googling you, and so you're also a photographer in Southern California, and you also have a business degree, and you travel around and help other photographers with running a business and shooting, and you've released several educational DVDs. So you're kind of all over the place and helping people out left and right. I just kind of love this. It's like everything that you've put your foot in is something that's going to help someone else help their business. With your ShootDotEdit, you're helping people edit. With your DVDs and you touring the country, you're helping people to learn how to do business the right way. So thank you for that.
Well, it's my pleasure. You know, I mean, I got in this 11 years ago. I started this studio. Or our studio in Southern California, San Diego, Bauman Photographers. It was on a whim. It was while I was in college. I never anticipated this would be my full-time income. But as this tends to happen, one thing leads to another, and we kind of catch that bug and whatnot. But yeah, you know, it's always been interesting for me. I do have that business background, and that business background I learned early on was really a huge asset. Because I had this business degree to rely on as I was able to start a company. And so over the years, it has developed into a passion for me where I really do enjoy and almost see it as part of what I want to be doing in the industry, in helping other creatives understand and come up with business concepts that can work and help them out with their business so they can continue to do what they love, which is take pictures, which is exactly the same reason why I'm in this industry.
Right, exactly. So you started this photography business and you're sitting at your desk and you're editing and you're like, holy Moses, I wish I could just let somebody else do this for me. Is that how it started?
Yes and no. It started because I had no other option. It was 2006 and I had booked 42 weddings that year. Bronson, my other, you know, the other guy that is a part of the studio down here had 44 weddings that year. So between the two of us, we had 86 full-scale weddings. And it was about June or July, and you know we were 3 or 4 weddings deep in the queue, and had a wedding every weekend from then until November or something. And it really came out of necessity. It wasn't that I didn't. It wasn't so much that I didn't like it as much as it was that I had to find a solution, or else I was going to be
from as long as I can
my clients far too late in the process, and I was not okay with that.
One of the best pieces of advice by another photographer was, Kathleen, you do not make money sitting behind your computer. You make money being behind your camera. And so that, for me, is so much what ShootDotEdit stands for. It's you go do what you make money doing, and then we'll take over the parts that you're not making money at necessarily. But you also do it by keeping consistent with that photographer's style, which I think is just wonderful, because I think that's the main fear of photographers giving up the edit, is they're afraid that the images will ultimately lose their creative touch. And that was my fear for sure. And after hearing some of our guests say over and over and over again that they were using ShootDotEdit, 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 I decided to give you guys a try. But with my trial, I went and I edited the pictures myself. And then I sent you guys the same pictures just to see how they would come back, and it was shockingly close. And it kind of showed me that good editing is just good editing, period. And so either it's good or it's bad, and if it's good, then it's going to be what you want, and you guys do a good job. So I really liked that about you.
It all started because I didn't start this company alone, Garrett was alongside in the process. We were both experiencing the same thing, and we learned that lesson. The lesson is that we all, as photographers, think that our way of editing and our preferences on color temperature, contrast, the wide range of things, we all think that it's the only way that it should be. But we learned really quickly that we all have different takes on what good color is. And, you know, we used to joke around because we got our images back the first time we hired an editor. We co-opt this process. That's really how ShootDotEdit came about. Garrett and I co-opt this process. And when I got my images back, I said, these are far too cool. I like my images significantly warmer than that. The exact same day, the editor got a phone call from Garrett, and it was saying, these images are way too warm. I like my images way cooler than this. And both of us were basically, you know, accusing this editor of not doing a good job, and it hit us really quickly that, okay, we as professionals have different takes on what good editing is, and we need to come up with a solution that gives every single professional photographer the ability to have their edits come back according to their style.
Yeah. So one of the things for people out in chat or people that are listening that you do when you submit work to ShootDotEdit is they show you a couple different images and they ask you your preferences on contrast. They ask you your preferences on color. Is there something else that I'm missing?
Brightness.
And in brightness. And so then you basically tell them, you know, like here's the same image edited 3 different ways, which brightness is your preference? And you tell them. Same image edited 3 ways, which contrast do you like? You tell them. Same image edited 3 different ways, which color temperature do you like? And so that's how they kind of have an idea of how you edit. And I'm sure that your editors have gotten pretty good at reading those results back and then putting it into practice.
Well, we've developed an algorithm, and what it really does is you're talking about the color wizard, which took us years and years to develop this color wizard, as we call it, but it basically gives the visual person, like all of us, the ability to look at an image and determine what that image should look like according to their preferences. That spits out an algorithm to us that tells us how we need to edit the photos. We have actually over, you know, from that image, we actually get over 100 different algorithms that can be spit out. And then you combine that with another process, which is called .preview. And .preview takes it one step further, and that is entirely free. And what we do is we take 10 sample images from throughout the day, 10 sample images of all the images you submitted to us. We return those according to your chosen color profile within 1 business day. And that's free of charge. And it gives you an ability to look at, okay, here's the color profile I chose. Is it actually how I want it to look? Is that actually, now that I look at it with my images, is that how I want it to be? We'll keep doing those for you until you're happy. We're not going to move forward in that job until we actually nail that style of yours. And that has worked. You know, Color Wizard in combination with .preview has become the solution for what you're talking about. When you're looking at images by a photographer, you're saying, these are amazing edits, and they say, yeah, I didn't do them, actually. ShootDotEdit did it for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you actually have people sitting there at Photoshop doing this, right?
Yeah, I mean, we have a comprehensive Lightroom workflow. We have a comprehensive Aperture workflow. And then there's also the ability for people to submit just standard RAW or JPEG for color correction, yes.
Okay. Yeah, you know, I'm not a wedding photographer, but you know, it doesn't just have to be wedding photographers either. But it seems like if you can just be out shooting more, and then taking those photos that you shoot, let's say you shoot a wedding and you shoot 1,000 photos or 3,000 photos, and you cull them down because you don't necessarily want to send you everything. You cull them down to 600 or whatever you were doing it down to. You send those to you. I mean, that is a huge time saving to the photographer because he or she can go right back and start doing the next job. Now, some photographers may feel that I'm losing too much control. Mm-hmm. What would you? It sounds like, well, Kathleen just said, you're actually, even though I'm giving it to you to do some things, I still have some control over what you're doing, some good control over what you're doing.
The nice thing, too, about ShootDotEdit is, like he says, they're not going to stop until they get it right. So the way I look at it, it would be no different for me using ShootDotEdit as it would for me hiring an in-house editor, except for ShootDotEdit, there's no overhead for me. I'm not paying somebody insurance. I'm not giving them vacation. There's no sick leave. It's 39 cents an image. It's a no-brainer. I
think you just hit on something really big there, Kathleen, that maybe I hadn't thought about before and some other people hadn't thought on before. The really successful, and I'm talking like high-end, they probably don't do the editing themselves anyway.
Oh, no. Oh, no. I mean, the idea of allowing somebody to do your editing for you is not a new one. I mean, professional photography companies for decades have had in-source editors, in-house editors. But for some reason, you know, when we think about sending our images to somewhere else, there's a little bit of we don't want to let go of them. If we have someone come into our office and we can stand over their shoulder and say, go a little bit warmer, go a little bit cooler, for some reason that gives us more of a control. But Shoot.Edit is offering the same thing with their color wizard and with their, their previews that they give you, and wanting to get it right until it, keep trying until it's exactly right. It's really awesome.
Now, Jared, how can you guys do it that fast? I mean, I got to imagine you don't just have my job I sent you. You have hopefully a lot of photographers sending you stuff. How are you able to get that fast of a turnaround?
Well,
you just know what you're doing?
It's the same concept of specialization that we all exhibit in our daily lives, in our jobs, in our professions. I mean, as a photographer, I can't tell how many times I have people come to me and say, I'll be standing next to, for example, my wife. We're on vacation. I'll have my camera out. She'll have her camera out. We both take the exact same picture, and mine will come back one way and hers will come back another way. And she says to me, how do you do that? How do you make it look like that? And I say, this is what I specialize in. I know what I'm doing. And it's the same thing with editing. We try to cram editing as photographers into a zillion other things that we do: bookkeeping, finances, consulting, meeting with clients, networking, in addition to shooting, in addition to all the things we do. We're not specialists in editing. The people that work at ShootDotEdit, the people that edit, this is what they do for a living. They edit all day. They can edit anywhere from 300 to 600 images in an hour, completely to spec.
Holy mackerel.
Wow. That's awesome.
Crazy good.
Maybe I need to get a job at Shoot.Edit for a year and just figure out the
how to edit 300 an hour.
And I think that answer,
production, I promise.
that answer probably goes into the next question, because you're able to achieve that kind of efficiency. It helps you keep the cost per image, your editing cost per image, down pretty low. Mm-hmm. If you were to spend an hour on each photo, I mean, the cost would be a lot different. But if you can do 300 to 600 an hour, I mean, what is the cost to me as a photographer?
39 cents an image.
39 cents.
And keep in mind that our turnaround time is as fast as 48 hours. We're the fastest in the industry. And so when I tell you the price and then I tell you the turnaround time, there's absolutely no barriers there. 48 hours allows you to have a job submitted to us. Let's say you're a wedding photographer. That's who we specialize with. You can have that culled and uploaded to us on a Monday, and you'll have that job returned to you within, you can have that job posted back to your client by the end of the week.
Yeah, that's blazing.
And they'll fall
fast.
over, because I remember when I had my pictures, it was several weeks before I saw anything.
Yeah.
So you're not doing everything with an edit, though, right? You're doing more of color correction, maybe you're doing noise. Why don't you tell us what all you're doing with the image?
Well, if you look at it this way, it's pretty much everything that you can manipulate with a slider. So we're doing color, we're doing tint, we're doing contrast, brightness. We're doing all those things that you adjust when you're in Lightroom, when you're in Bridge, when you're in Aperture, that you adjust with the slider. It's custom color correction. But you're right, we don't, with that 39 cents an image, we're not taking the image into Photoshop. Noise reduction isn't part of that. Those sorts of things are left out.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that's where...
And you're not cropping the pictures either. Whatever the shape of the picture is what you're leaving at.
Yeah, exactly. We are in beta right now with a new idea that we're testing with cropping. Cropping is one of the most heavily requested things we get. But cropping is so subjective, kind of like what Kathleen said. Good color is good color. And once we nail your style preferences, we can achieve good color every time. Cropping is pretty subjective no matter what. So we're in beta on something. I hope it's going to work. We'll know more in about a month about kind of the first round of results. But no, right now cropping isn't included.
I know when I was trying to pick a company to go with, obviously Shoot.Edit was the first company I wanted to try because of the gotchas of how often they were telling us about you guys. But I sent a couple images to a couple different companies, and I will say that one company did crop my images, and I did not like it. Mm-hmm. It's like I kept saying, stop cropping it, because I felt for the most part, my images, the way that I take them are the way that I want them. I crop while I'm shooting. And everyone has a different shooting style. Some people shoot way, 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 way back, not even worrying about composition while they're shooting, and then they crop afterwards. But for someone who crops in camera, to have it recropped afterwards was a huge frustration for me. So is that going to be like an option that you can turn on or turn off?
Yes,
like whether you want it to be cropped or not?
Yeah, all these are opt-in options we're talking about. We're talking about a straightening service, we're talking about a cropping service, and we're talking about a noise reduction service. And these are things that we know we need to develop to continue to be the preferred first choice solution for the professional photographer. And we're working on that. But kind of like the Color Wizard, kind of like Dot Preview, these things we've learned do need to evolve a little bit, and we rely on the feedback of the photographers. So we're in beta on a bunch of them, and I hope it'll come together soon. You know, but I think that what's also good, this might be a good time to even bring it up, is, and we've kind of danced around it a little bit up until now, but what I find, so I speak, you know, my job with ShootDotEdit is basically just to interact with our photographers. It's basically to make sure that our photographers are taken care of. We have about 6,000 photographers now that use us in 43 countries across the world.
Wow.
So I stay very busy keeping up with them. But one of the most important things I think I find I do is almost giving them permission to use us in what I've started to call the 90-10 model. This is something that a lot of photographers, especially what you were referring to earlier as kind of the premium photographers, I like to call them just basically the stylized studios. They use us for 90% of the heavy lifting. And they still go in and they still do 10% of the work. They still go in, but we get them 90% of the way there. So there's no need when you're thinking about whether you want to outsource your images, whether you want to get help, whether you want to trust a specialist. There's no need to worry that you're going to lose complete control. I encourage you to let us do the 10 hours of sliding exposure bars around. Let us do the 10 hours of work that you normally spend and get it 90% of the way there, and then you go in and add your signature touch. Pick your favorite 75 images, take them into Photoshop, go back, maybe crop a few images, straighten a few images, you know, and that still gives you that creative freedom, but you're only touching the images and doing with it what's fun. You're not having to do the mundane, the monotonous, and really with the stuff that leaves us bummed out, bogged down, and not focused on our business.
Right,
I think
especially with
the
weddings, that's important. Yeah.
And you had said earlier something about once you nail what we like, you remember that. So you are learning as I send you stuff and remembering how I like things?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That profile we're developing isn't just a one-time thing where you just click a button. It's going to be something that we're constantly adding to, and we're constantly making more and more robust as we go on, really in the form of the more jobs we have under our belt, the better we're going to know and understand what you want.
Mm-hmm.
What program do you edit in? Using Lightroom, Photoshop, or Aperture?
Well, we have a Lightroom workflow. We have an Aperture workflow. And then for those who aren't interested in a particular workflow, you can just submit images a la carte, and those are going to be edited in Lightroom.
So now you're sending back the Lightroom profile on those pictures as well.
If you select the Lightroom workflow, yeah, we're going to send you back a Lightroom catalog, and that's going to have a lot of the custom functions built in that people who use Lightroom prefer.
Oh, that's really good.
And I think what the Gotchers were saying is they send you the raw files. You do the edits, and you only have to send them back the what is that, the XML or
XMPs, yeah.
XMP, the XMP files.
Correct.
So sending them back is really fast, and they just load those XMP files, and that includes all the edits.
That's typically what most do. Most upload us their wedding, you know, 600 to 700 images. Most photographers do their cull, although we can do the cull for you. Most upload using our proprietary web upload system. Get them to us. You know, we make those custom edits in as fast as 48 hours, and then, like you said, we just send you back a zip file. It's going to be 2 or 3 megabytes. It's going to be something that you then take. They're XMPs. You unzip them and you drop them back in the same folder of RAWs you uploaded, and your changes just materialize right there in front of you. It's really fun.
That
So
would be
I have
neat
a
to
question.
see.
Really cool.
I have a question in my case. When I import into Lightroom, I import everything as a DNG file, so I don't have the XMP files.
Yeah,
So
DNGs are accepted. DNGs we take. We have a lot of people who like to work with the digital negative version. The only difference, though, is that we can't send you back an XMP, so we're going to have to send you back, basically what amounts to a DNG file, which is going to be about the same size, if not larger than a JPEG, and so that takes a little bit longer.
Okay.
And speaking of JPEG, so imagine you accept JPEGs too. Do you have a preference, RAW, JPEG, or DNG?
Well, even though RAWs are 4 to 8 times as large, they have a much larger gamut when it comes to editing. We always tell people that we're going to be able to do more with your images. We're going to be able to do more when it comes to color correction with a RAW file.
What about RAW versus DNG? Any difference there?
You know, we still recommend RAW. We still think RAW is the most robust. We test this constantly. Believe me, every single time somebody comes out with a new camera, we have to cross-check that against everything. We have to look at that. We have to examine. But yeah, no, RAW is the best and is the most robust, and we feel pretty confident saying that.
See, Tim's been trying to get me to use DNG. I'm so scared to switch over to DNG. I shoot RAW. And I think that's it. You just convinced me, Jared. I'm never switching over.
So you're taking his opinion over mine.
I think that Jess needs to come out with a new logo for our show. It needs to be RAW to JPEG to DNG.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's
we'll
happening.
cover everything.
I was just looking for anybody to agree with me, and then I was going to say that's it, and then agree with them.
Yeah, I know that was coming.
Hey, can we go back to culling the images? I know that you charge 8 cents per image to cull, and that's still really great because I know for me, okay, so here's why I think it would be great to let go of the culling. I get so emotionally attached to something that I shot, even when it's not my family. And a lot of times I find that even my clients can be more decisive on which image they like best, more than I can. And I think it might be because, like, you know, that's their child's real smile. Even though they're smiling in both pictures, this is their child's real smile. So that's why I think it would be great to outsource the culling, because I wouldn't be sitting there saying, I don't know. Well, let me look at the other one. I don't know. Let's look again. I don't know. Maybe this one. I mean, seriously, it could be for like 5 or 6 minutes. It's ridiculous. So what are your prerequisites for keepers when you guys do the culling?
Well, culling takes on an interesting process. We've developed what we call a 3-pass system, which is a nice assurance. You know, I know for me, when I submit my images to ShootDotEdit, I still shoot, you know, 15 weddings a year. And I have ShootDotEdit do the editing. And it really is like the Hair Club for Men commercial. I have to make sure that this product works, or else my clients aren't happy and it doesn't work. So it's very interesting in that regard. And that was a really important factor. How do you at ShootDotEdit know how or what to keep of my images? So we've developed a 3-pass system. The first pass is where we really eliminate what I call the 4 Bs, the blinks, the blurs, the bad expressions, and the bad exposures. It's just getting rid of the ones that obviously have to go. While we're going through that first pass, though, we are taking in the story. We are learning the story. We are understanding the story. There's a story that's told with every shoot we do, and that first pass, since we weren't there, is us learning that story. The second pass is where we're going to go through and we're going to make selections based on really looking at images that are shot in similar lighting circumstances and similar settings. So we say we have you know, a brand new husband and wife walking down the aisle, and the photographer snapped 4 pictures of basically the same thing. That moment where they kiss at the very end of the aisle. We're going to go in and we're going to find the best 1 or 2. That would be what the second pass takes care of. Now the third pass is where we're going to go back and we're really going to reflect on that story that we started to craft and make sure that we don't have too many duplicates. We make sure we have one at grandma. We make sure that there's an even spread of the parents. We make sure that we've come close to hitting the number that you've asked us to. I mean, at the end, we hit the number exactly. And that third pass is really almost like a QC where we go through and we make sure that we have everything dialed in.
Yeah, and I was going to ask that, and I think you just answered it. Is so I send you 3,000 photos, but I say cull them down to 600. You're gonna do that. You're gonna work it down to the number I said.
Yeah, we're gonna work down. Again, I feel like we're in beta with everything right now. We are working on maybe the ability for you to say get it to between 600 and 800.
Oh, okay.
Or get it to between 550 and 850. But right now, we found the best way is for, if you're going to submit a certain number, please tell us how many you want us to keep.
And Kathleen, I would think that what happens there is when you shoot, you have emotion involved in those shots. And when they are culling, they can do it without the emotion.
Totally. And I think that's so nice to be able to step outside the emotion box and just see the image for what they are. But I also like that you said that you do try and take in the story. And the difference is the story's been told to you where, because I was there, I'm part of the story. Like now I know girl, you know what I mean? So I think it's great to allow somebody to cull your images for you. And I like how you explained how you guys do that. It's really great.
And keep in mind, you were talking. You guys were talking earlier about how many images can you edit in an hour, and I said, well, most do 300 to 600. You're like, how is that possible? Well, keep in mind, we're not attached to your images. We're making I mean, I hate to get down to it, but we're making a very clinical decision about what to keep, what not to keep. It's the same with color. We're making a very clinical decision about what to do with that image based on what you have told us, and that's the problem with being, and I've been there, with being photographers, is we are very attached, we're very passionate about these images that we take. And so as a business decision, it does make a lot of sense, and there is a lot of credence to kind of trusting a specialist with it, because we do take longer because we care so much about them. And to have a specialist do the clinical work and get you 90% of the way there gives you the ability to still be emotionally attached. You can still go in and artistically create with your camera and artistically create in Photoshop. But really, the sliding of the contrast bar, of the color temperature bar, that is a clinical process that there's really not a lot of creativity involved in, and that's why we're able to go so fast.
Well, I think that, when the digital age hit, we got an influx of photographers who would just, throw it in auto and then hope to fix it in post. And I know that I was one of those photographers. That's how I started my career, and I didn't know any different until I was told different, right? And so I feel like that's why there is such an attachment to the editing process, because I certainly was not being creative in the taking picture process. I was waiting till afterwards to make it look the way that I want it to look. And now that I've evolved in my photography, I get it right in the camera. I get the feel that I want in the camera. If I want haze, I do it while I'm taking the picture. I don't add it afterwards, that sort of thing. And if I want a clean edit, I make it a clean edit in the camera, not necessarily afterwards. And so I feel like as we grow as photographers and we realize exactly what you said, that the editing process can be very clinical if someone else is doing it for you. And it's either correct or it's incorrect based on the color profile that we send you.
Well, and the same goes for the opposite. If you're a new photographer, the most important thing you can be doing is shooting, is interacting with your clients, is building your client base so you have more of it. Yet when you talk to most new shooters, they spend over 60% of their working hours on editing, which isn't allowing them to grow as a photographer. It isn't getting in front of clients, and it isn't taking care of their clients. So it's so true. I mean, it's really remarkable, but it's also it's hard to let go. It's hard to let go.
This is related, but it's off topic. Is the most successful stockbrokers are the ones who have no emotion in the trade. Us as individuals, we'll look at it and see, I've got a gain. I want to just hold on a little more. I got a loss. I can't sell now, and that's why we're not. That's one of the reasons we're not successful. Is because the emotion in the trade, where a successful stockbroker it doesn't care. He's just going to do whatever's best. And there's some of that here is we're emotionally attached to those photos because we shot it. And you see this with moms too a lot, Kathleen, where because their kids in it, it doesn't matter what the quality is, their kids in it, therefore it's a good image. But you guys, that's one reason you're experts in doing what you're doing, but you also don't have the emotion in it, so you're not going to sit there and do that. Now, do you have a different team doing the culling and the editing?
Yeah. It's not going to be the same team. If you're a culler, that's what you specialize in, and if you're a color processor, that's what you specialize in. Okay.
So I was wanting to say that when I sent my first order in, I received an email, which I'm guessing was from you, after my order was complete, asking about my experience with ShootDotEdit, and I really appreciated that so much. It made me feel once again like I had professional editors working for me, not that I was sending my pictures off to a no-name, no-face person. It was a really nice touch to make sure that I knew that I was important to ShootDotEdit, not that just ShootDotEdit was important to me.
Did I send that to you at 6 a.m. or did I send that to you at 6 a.m. or 10 p.m.
Probably, it was like 3 in the morning. Yeah.
Oh man, I know. Well, that's the most. See, so I helped start this company 5.5 years ago, and then stepped away for a few years after the first couple of years. And really last year, it was about July when I came back on as president. And the most important thing to me right off the bat was creating a personal connection with all of our clients as best as you can. Like I said, we're 6,000 strong now. And but I mean, I think from customer experience all the way up to getting an email from me and making myself available to you, I think that this is such a personalized process. And I know that because, like I said, I go through it every week when I shoot and submit to ShootDotEdit. And it is a personalized process. This isn't a non-personal experience. And so I just think that we need to give it a face. We need to make sure that you guys know that we're there for you because it's just so personal. It's letting go of those images. We joke around the lab that it's like letting go of your baby. It's like sending your baby off to kindergarten, It's like when you walk your kid to kindergarten for the first time, and it's like it's the same experience for every photographer every time. It's hard to do. So those little touches can go a long way sometimes.
Well, and it's funny because I started in film and I did not have a dark room, right? So I did it back then. I don't understand why. I don't know what it is in our psyche that once we get a hold of something, it's hard to let it back go. But back when I was shooting film, I just hunted around for, you know, a lab that I liked the way they processed my images, and they had the best price and the quickest turnaround.
That's a great analogy of it.
Right, which is no different from picking ShootDotEdit to do your images. You're finding a lab, or you have found a lab that you like the way that they edit, you like their price, and they have a super fast turnaround. It's a no-brainer. I mean, I used to walk to my lab, drop up my film, and leave, and then come back and pick it up, and it was done. And my life back then when I was shooting film was so much simpler than it is today being a digital photographer. It's almost like, you know, the digital world was supposed to make things easier for us, and it has in so many ways, but it's also made it more time consuming to be a photographer.
Well, you know, we're putting on a 25 city workshop tour right now that's entirely free. That's a different topic, but I was sitting in watching Jared Platt speak last week, and Jared Platt said it best, I thought. You know, he kind of made the analogy that he's like, I get paid to go shoot. And he said this quote, he said, the only reason I should ever open Photoshop is if somebody's paying me to open Photoshop. You know, he's like, I don't go out and shoot clients for free. I don't go out unless they're paying me for that. That's what I do. And the same, you should think of it in the same way with Photoshop. If you can find a solution that allows you to go out and shoot more, which is where you get paid from, and what your love and joy is, and if you can, you know, if you can justify opening up Photoshop and getting paid for that, well then, yeah, that might be a good investment. But so oftentimes we do these things for us, for creatively, for fun, but it's not the best business decision necessarily.
Yeah.
I think it also makes, some people may say, wow, that's, you know, what did you say, 39 cents an image? So, you know, if I'm doing 600, that's a little over $200.
$234, yeah.
You know, wow, that's a big price. But you got to remember, you're doing it so fast. And what I think people forget is the value of their own time.
Yeah.
And the value, so you as the photographer, 600 images, you guys did it in actual working time in, you know, a couple hours, maybe 3-4 hours, depending on how quickly you go through it. As the photographer, we would probably spend days on that. And that, if we took that and broke it down to what our time is worth, it actually is much more expensive to do it ourselves.
Well, not just what your time is worth, but the fact that you can maybe take on one more shoot a week if you outsource your editing. And so then in that case, it kind of pays for itself.
And that goes back to your time is worth money.
That's right.
Well, and so I was just going to say, just look at it. Try it yourself if you want. Put yourself up to the challenge. Most photographers nowadays are returning weddings in 6 to 8 weeks. Try turning a wedding around in less than a week. See what happens to your print orders. See what happens to the reactions on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter. See if you get more phone calls. See if you get more print orders. Typically speaking, you're going to make all that money back and then some on extra bookings and on increased print sales just from having those images turned around in a week or two rather than the average 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah,
that's true. Now, the people you have editing, do you guys train them, or are you finding Photoshop, Lightroom experts to begin with?
Oh, no, they're all trained. Usually, the more experienced they are, the more we have to break them.
That's true. They're probably set in their ways, so you got to do it. The 25 city tour, do you have that listed on your website? Or if somebody's interested in that, how would they find out more about it?
Yeah, it's called the Price Process Profit Tour. And all the details are at priceprocessprofit.com. We are literally right at the halfway point. We've done 12 out of 24 cities. It's been a fantastic workshop so far. We just finished up the California leg, in which we were just packed, standing room only in all 4 California cities. We have 12 cities left, and it's going to be over the course of the next 3 months. And you know, just really exciting. It's a night of free business education, and really it's, you know, business to the professional photographer. That's my background, and I really, you know, that was our big thing this year, is I wanted to bring a lot of that business background, a lot of that business education, and get it spread out all over the entire country for photographers to be able to learn and grow from.
So is this a ShootDotEdit tour, or is this your photography company?
No, it's one of the sponsors is ShootDotEdit. They're probably the main sponsor. There's about 9 or 10 different companies that are on board that are able to make, you know, so we can make it happen for free.
Do you have any out here on the East Coast coming up?
Boston, New York, Washington, Atlanta,
Atlanta. When's Atlanta?
September 11th, 13th. September 13th, I believe, is Atlanta.
September 13th.
Coming up, yes.
Northwest Atlanta.
Uh-oh, Mike Coward,
North,
I might have to meet you.
yeah. So Jared doesn't know that. Kathleen and I live probably 5 miles away from each other, and we've never met in person.
What? Wow! Now that is the true state we're in with the digital era, is it not?
There's a local what do you call that, park that both of our kids go to play in, and we've come very, very close to meeting before, but never actually meeting. So
I've outsourced my friendship.
And it looks like I missed the New York tour.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little off course here, but Tim, what you said, Northwest Atlanta?
Yeah, Northwest Atlanta, 11th Street, 667 11th Street. It's called the PPR Atlanta Studio 1.
Okay. We'll look that up later.
Free with RSVP, 6 to 9 p.m.
Awesome.
I put it on the show notes.
Okay.
Or link to
Okay,
it.
so Jared, I have to ask you a question that I'm intrigued by.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys call all sorts of types of photography on your website, including boudoir photography. How does that go over? And are there any kind of things that come across your screens that you guys are not supposed to be looking at?
Yeah, I can say that boudoir is actually some of the far less racy stuff that we've gotten sent in.
Really?
Oh boy, we've gotten a lot of different things over the years. Yeah. I mean, we've had some. I won't say everything we've had because I wouldn't want anyone to feel thrown under the bus. But let's just say that boudoir is some of the more tame stuff that occasionally we'll get.
Isn't that funny?
Well,
Okay,
you
so
say you do mainly weddings, but let's say I go to, or people go on vacation. Let's say you go to Walt Disney World and somebody wants to send you the 1,000 pictures that they took. Is that something you would edit as well?
Well, think of it, like I was talking about earlier, as we all specialize. You know, think of it that we specialize in the wedding professional, and that's why we say the wedding professional and everything that they shoot. Really, what we're trying to say is that we're best suited for the professional photographer that's shooting something of a portrait variety. And that's where we do our best job. That's where everything's set up. You know, you don't go to our color wizard and see an automobile as your color, your picture to choose from. You see a bride. And so, you know, we deal best, or we're set up to deal with skin tones. We're set up to deal with main subject skin tones. We're set up to deal with things in a wedding and portrait environment. That's what we're best suited for. But we don't turn away any kind of work. We like to make sure that everyone knows that we can be a photographer's entire solution. And so that's why we just kind of say that we specialize in what the wedding pro shoots, but we do handle everything that the wedding pro shoots.
I guess that was more my question. Do you turn away any work?
No.
Yeah, you know, Kathleen was talking about how she likes to get it right in camera, and there's garbage in, garbage out. Do you ever have any, people send you stuff that you go, there's not a whole lot I can do with this. This is
occasionally, yeah, but you'd be absolutely flat out shocked by what we've been able to do. We have a lot of before and afters on our Facebook page, up on our website. I mean, I am constantly amazed by what we're able to do, pulling stuff 4 and 5 stops, bringing back shadows that didn't exist, taking care of photographers that by accident left their ISO at 100 the entire reception, things like that. We're able to make heroes out of them usually. Occasionally we can't always do it as well as we'd like, but yeah, usually we're the specialist. I would hope we could do that for most of our photographers.
We have a question out in chat. Has anyone raised a big stink over a photo that didn't make the cut when you were culling?
Of course.
You're like, I'm sure it's happened. Yeah.
Yes, of course. Culling is the most subjective process. If you're going to use culling for us, you're generally going to have to understand that there's going to be some images that are kept and some images that aren't. What we recommend for the person who's got maybe more of a focused vision is to go through before you submit that job to us. Best suited if you use our Lightroom catalog or our Aperture workflow. Highlight, make a category, make a folder of images that are must-haves that you have to keep. And that way, when you submit them to us, we'll have a folder of images that we know that we can't get rid of. Generally speaking, then we might get rid of an image you would have kept, but it's not one of those that is a must-have.
Right. Okay, so I want to tap into your business mind for a few minutes. Tell us your number one business mistake that you see us photographers doing.
I've become a bit of a specialist in the subject of pricing, in how to price yourself, in how to create packages, a la carte, how to basically reflect your services in front of a client. And the biggest mistake people make, I think, is in this area. I think that the majority of the jobs we don't book are because we have pricing that is inaccurate and that is confusing to our clients. That generally speaking, when we meet with a client, we have a good experience, they like us, we like them, and yet somehow when we pull out pricing, it all deteriorates. And so the biggest mistake that I see photographers making, and I'm a little biased because that's what I end up working with most photographers on, but is just in confusing pricing.
Okay. Do you guys have like some sort of an example of a price list that you feel works well that people can access, or is that something that you guys do on a personal basis, is help people get their pricing where it needs to be, or is that something that's just covered when you go to the tours?
One of the legs of one of the speakers in the tour is me, and I do, the topic I hit is pricing. Pricing is very, very personal, and it should be, because when you think about it, really removing confusion in pricing is about knowing and understanding what your client wants and then presenting it to them in a way that makes sense to them. You know, that's what, for example, Starbucks, that's what In-N-Out, that's what the companies that are very successful have done for us. When we walk into In-N-Out, I love using them because they're only on the West Coast, but we all know about them, it seems. And they make, you know, every other hamburger chain has offered 10, 12, 20 different burger options, yet when we go in In-N-Out, we see one hamburger, one cheeseburger, and one double cheeseburger. And they're the ones with the lines out the door. So, but they understand and know exactly what their client wants. They don't have a fish burger on there because they know their clients don't want a fish burger. They don't, you know, so basically, to bring that back to us as photographers, it's a really personal thing because we have to know what our clients want, and it's going to be different for each of us, and then we have to reflect that in pricing that's easy to understand and easy to book.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
I've been showing some of the before and after photos from your Facebook page in the stream, and some of them are just absolutely incredible. You're able to get out what you got out.
Well, you had the one picture with the bridesmaids, and it was like almost a black picture, and you got all the lighting back to it. That was easily 5 stops.
I'm telling you, I'm not making it up. I'm amazed.
Yeah, that's insane right there.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
You can't even see in the original one. You can't even make out their faces.
No,
it's so dark.
I would have thought that picture's almost toast.
Still, I'm sure you guys would rather us send you good photos to begin with.
Always. It makes everybody's life a lot easier.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so let's dote on you just a little bit, Mr. Jared. I see that you have done destination weddings, photographed them yourself all over the place: Athens, Arizona, Australia, California, Maui, Napa, Nashville. Is there any place you haven't been that you want to go to?
Yes, Antarctica.
Oh, that would be awesome. Do people get married down there?
I don't know. You know, for a long time I had this goal of shooting a wedding on every continent of the world. And I've done 3 now. I don't know if I'm going to make my goal, but it would. I've always had this fascination with Antarctica. So yeah, if I could shoot a wedding in Antarctica, that'd be a real personal thrill that I would really revel in. I don't know if anybody does get married in Antarctica, but if you do, call me. I'd love to shoot your wedding down there.
Isn't it?
Big
I imagine most people.
That's a good one.
I imagine most people don't want to go down there, but I would love to go down there too.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
So what do you shoot with right now?
Canon 5D Mark IIs and Canon 5D Mark IIs, and still just 5Ds actually. I shoot majority of my couple portraits in the Canon 5D.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Kathleen,
I think that camera just has the most amazing color representation, and probably will get some 5D Mark IIIs, but because the focal issues that come with the 5Ds and the Mark IIs are definitely they're there.
Yeah.
And having played around with the 5D Mark III, it definitely solves a lot of that. So
Kathleen just ordered one.
Yeah, I've heard that there are color profile differences, big time color profile differences between the Nikon and the Canon, and I'm sure Sony as well. Like when you guys at ShootDotEdit are editing people's pictures, is it obvious, you know, where their brand loyalties lie? Yeah,
Canon's going to come in a lot cooler. Nikon's going to come in a lot warmer. Canon tends to have a little bit more contrast. Nikon tends to be a little bit more buttery, if you want to call it that. So there's some distinct differences. There definitely are. But at the same time, both make files. I mean, there was a time when Nikon was nowhere near, it was nowhere near Canon, but both have, incredibly robust files now that come in that give us the latitude to do what you guys are looking at. I guess don't need to give any voice to it. You know, a lot of latitude with those files now. A lot of latitude, especially if you know what to do and know the right buttons to push.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Very cool.
All right, we're actually up to the hour. Do you have some more questions, Kathleen, or you want to open up?
I was going to open it up to chat. I was looking to see if there was anything that I kind of missed as we were talking.
And Jared, earlier I noticed that Ryan Gotcher was out there. I don't know if he's still out there, but he was out there earlier.
Well, he's one of my favorites. I absolutely love their new promo video they launched on their website.
It's great.
They really get it. They are favorites of ours, and I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing them when we head out to Arizona for the tour stop. I think that's in October.
I think that's the promo video that asked me to not post about.
No, really?
I made a mistake. I occasionally, and you would probably do this too, Jared, I occasionally go on Google and type in jpeg2RAW and see if anybody's talking about jpeg2RAW. And I happened to come across a video they had on YouTube. And I said, oh my God, I love this video. It is awesome. And I posted about it on our Facebook page. It apparently was not meant for public consumption at that time. And it was a beta version of it. So Denise said, thank you for doing that, but can you please remove that post?
Yeah, it wasn't quite ready yet. Yeah, Google Reader can get you in trouble a lot. You know, you keep track of what's being said, and you jump in on some things that aren't quite done yet or aren't quite finished yet, or nobody knows really what that Google picks up on because they're so good at that.
Yeah.
So, but ultimately, whenever they had the final version out, they let me know, and then we posted about it. It was awesome. Yeah. And we have a number of wedding photographers who listen to the show who I know have debated about doing this very thing. Some of them, like Ryan and Denise, use it. Some of them have debated back and forth. Scott Green, I think, Kathleen, has debated back and forth. So hopefully, after listening to this, you know, hey, give it a shot. What is there to lose? Give it a shot. If it works out for you and you like the service, man, have you saved yourself a lot of time?
Yeah, totally. I was very pleased with the results. I loved using ShootDotEdit, and I think that everyone should definitely give it a shot.
And you know, think for somebody like Scott, and probably a lot of people are in this same spot, is they still have a regular day job. Mm-hmm. So they're doing these weddings on the side. So for them, I guess for somebody who's having to live on their work, that's important too. But so I don't want to say somebody who's doing this for full-time living is not as important. But thinking about the person who's doing it on the side, if they're having to spend all this time doing the editing, and they only have the weekends and the nights to do this after work, you know, doing the editing, having somebody else do the editing allows them to, like you said, look for new clients or maybe just spend time with the family.
You know, I mean, it can really come down to a whole host of options. I'll never forget when, you know, I mean, these are back in the early days, back in probably 2007, we got some of our original 07, 08 maybe, we got some of the original people together in Vegas at a WPPI that had been using us for a while, and we just kind of set up some video cameras and just started rolling and talking because we were just trying to learn at this point, being a year or two old, hey, what are we doing right, what are we doing wrong? But it was so interesting. We had, now looking back on around that room, we had Dane Sanders, one of our first users at ShootDotEdit. We had Sarah France, we had Mira Ko out of Seattle.
I love her.
And exactly, and these people at this time, and we all sat around this video, and they all had this coming to know at the exact same moment, which was, oh my gosh, right about the time I started using ShootDotEdit was when I had time to go pursue what was really my passion. Mm-hmm. Dane wrote a book. Mira Ko started pursuing women and ended up landing on the Nate Berkus show. Sarah France got sponsored by Apple. This all happened within 3 or 4 months after they started submitting to ShootDotEdit. They had the free time to go pursue things that were their passion, and then ended up launching their career into a whole nother level. And I got goosebumps sitting there, just kind of being so proud that I was able to be a part of something that had given them the freedom to pursue not just photography, but other passions that laid within that photography. So whether you use that time for a professional pursuit, whether it's more time with your kids. I mean, I get text messages from our photographers all the time. Some are writing books, some are shooting more weddings, some are just going to the park with their kids. It really doesn't matter. It just allows you to kind of do the things that we don't get to in our day. And I think that allows us to grow as individuals and as business owners.
Yeah. I love that you take that look at it, that, you know, we don't, with all of our decisions in life, we don't know what hangs in the balance. And I'm not familiar with the other two people that you suggested. I'm going to look them up. But Mira Ko, what she's done with women and the platform that she's given them and the healing that she's brought in so many ladies' lives through her photography, to think that that wasn't there before she started, you know, sending off her images is crazy to think about, because she's helped so many people. It's really wonderful.
Yeah, and who knows where that exists in all of us.
Yeah.
You know, and everyone does something. You know, I think that Mirko is such a great example because of the amazing impact. And I've gotten to know her over the last 7 years now. She's her and Brian are close personal friends of mine, and they really are two of the most amazing people you're ever going to meet. And that's just one example of things that come when, you know, we kind of prioritize and make decisions about where we're going to spend our time and our energy.
Yeah.
Somebody out in chat asked, your tour, I know you have 12 cities left. You've already finished California. Is this something you're going to do on an annual basis and going to hit California again? I guess they live in San Diego.
You know, I don't know. I can tell you it's been a huge, huge, huge success. I'd like to think it's going to come again for us. You ask my wife, she might not want me to be on the road that much next year. So we'll see. We'll see. It's definitely something that we'd like to do again. I don't know. I think we're so focused on just continuing to do justice to the next 12 cities that we'll tackle that at the end of the year, and I hope so. I really do.
Sure.
Thank you, Jared, so much for coming on the show tonight. It's been very inspirational to talk to you about, especially the last part about what you said about, you know, opening us up to the things that we should be doing with our time versus sitting behind our computers and editing. I really love that. So thank you for your insight and thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jared, for coming on the show. Great guest, and anybody who has not used Shoot.Edit, you know, give it a chance, see what it can do for you. And
okay,
I
real
think you'll
quick,
be surprised. Yes.
Jared, do you guys have like a free trial type thing? How does that work? Do you guys have like a first time, you know, we'll do 5 or 6 images for you?
You know, that's what .preview does for you.
Okay.
You know, that's going to give you a look at your job, and we're not going to move forward with it until you like it.
Okay, so that's good for us all to know.
Yeah. Now, one thing I did want to offer was everybody who wants, I'll put together a one-time 15% show special, and the code is just going to be jpeg2RAW. So JPEG, the number 2 RAW. Okay. Use that, and that'll get you 15% off that first job of yours. And so that's something that can help get you started. A lot, you know, combine that with .preview, and you're going to not only be saving money, but you're going to have that guarantee that you're going to like the way the images come back.
That's awesome. Thank you, Jared,
so much for that.
So the question that just came up before we end is there a minimum number to send?
$30. $30 worth, however you get there, yeah.
Very good.
Awesome.
Well, we will definitely be pushing that out. Is there a time limit on the 15%? Do we need to tell them?
Let's see here. The latest I can extend it is to the December 31st of this year.
That's awesome. That's plenty of time.
Will that work?
Yep, that's plenty of time.
What was the code again for that?
JPEG2RAW.
jpeg2RAW.
Yeah,
Just in the discount box, okay?
Yep, exactly. Put that in the discount box. For those of you rushing off to order, give me 30 seconds once we sign off so I can put it in there. Because I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, it starts tomorrow morning, people.
Yeah, we'll go with that. I'll have it in about 30 seconds after we're done.
Okay.
Awesome.
I'll wait.
Everybody should be listening to us anyway, so don't worry.
I'll wait till later tonight to publish it. Okay, well, we've kept you for the hour, a little bit more than an hour, Jared. I know you're a busy guy. Thank you for coming. We normally do the highlight edition, but maybe we can just do that ourselves afterward. I don't want to hold Jared too long.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate this. Seems like from all that I've been able to dive into, a really great resource for photographers out there. Thank you guys for speaking of time, for taking the time to pursue these sorts of things. It's great. I obviously have a heart for education, just like you guys do. So it's great to be around like-minded people, and it's fantastic what you guys are doing.
Thank you very much, Jared.
We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Very cool. Well, good night, everybody in chat. We'll see you guys next week.
People in chat, don't leave yet. I think Jared, Jared's just going to, unless he wants to hang out with us, but I know he's got a lot going on.
I do have to take off. Unfortunately, I appreciate the offer. I wish I could stick around. Thank you, though.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jared. Thank you for the 15%, and we'll publish that a little later tonight.
Great.
Good night, Jared.
Sounds good, guys. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
See you later.
Yeah, I wanted to give him a chance. He is the president of the company, and as you know, he is very busy, and was in a meeting right before this. So I wanted to give him. I didn't want to abuse him, and he gave us the 15% discount, so that was very good. But before we end,
very nice, though.
That was very nice. He offered that on his own. I did not have to twist his arm or anything.
I like it.
Before we leave, I wanted to mention a few things. You know, we mentioned at the front of the show, but the show is available on iTunes, on Stitcher Radio, and basically anywhere else you get a podcast. I also mentioned the Amazon. If your kids are going back to school, mine are already back in school. If your kids are going back to school and you got to buy some stuff through Amazon for them, think about the show. Click on the link on this website, and then go out and buy it from Amazon. And we also finally hit our $100. Somebody ordered something and pushed us over the $100. So I don't know how fast they get me the money, but as soon as they do, we're going to buy something. I guess Tim, Kathleen, and I got to decide what that is. We'll buy something and do a giveaway. And speaking of giveaways, we still have the Drobo giveaway. Whoops. Don't know what's going on there. There we go. The Drobo giveaway. And if you haven't signed up for the Drobo giveaway, that is, I guess the most expensive thing we've given away yet. That is the number one gift. You've got to be signed up for the Drobo giveaway. If you're not signed up for the Drobo giveaway, you need to go out and do that. And that is so easy to sign up. You go to our page. We'll have the link in the show notes. But also just go to jpeg2RAW. There's a big link there that says Drobo giveaway. Click on that and fill it out. All you got to do is fill out your information so we know how to contact you if you win. And like our page, jpeg2RAW page on Facebook, and like the Average Guy podcast Facebook page. So all you got to do is like those two and you're entered. And speaking of that, Average Guy is out there right now in chat. But next Tuesday, August 14th, will be the last day to sign up. When we end the show on August 14th, I'm going to go out there and grab everybody who's entered, and that is it. Only those people that are in there then are entered in the contest. Then on Thursday, Kathleen, Tim, and I are going to go on Jim's show, and we're going to do the giveaway there. We're going to announce the winner there. You don't have to be present, but it would be nice if you were. We'll announce the winner next August 16th. I think it's August 16th, right? Yeah. What else do we have? Oh, so we're ending the summer season. We have the giveaway next week. We have, hopefully, Mitch DeBrowner on August 21st, the black and white guy who just won Sony World Photographer of the Year and got a 10-page spread in National Geographic. That's
amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
What kind of
we
camera
have him coming. I don't know. What was he shooting with? Sony?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm hoping it's a Sony.
I'm not sure. He works. I think he works for Sony. So that is going to round off the end of the summer season. We've already started booking for the fall season. We have Ryan DeBrinzer, I think. Brinzener. I'm pronouncing his name wrong. Absolutely incredible. He's photographed 3 presidents. Did you know that, Kathleen?
No.
He has a photographic technique named after him. The Brinzener. I'm saying it wrong. I got to figure that out before he comes on. The Brinzener method or something like that. It's incredible.
Wow.
So you need to go out there. It's on our. I put it on the Facebook page, but it's also on our calendar. You can go see it there. He's coming in September, and then you're working on. So we don't want to say who the one you haven't tied down yet. Don't say him
I
yet.
know. Well, I will say that we've been pushed to the next level, which is exciting. So, anyways, I don't know. We'll see if it works out.
If you get that person, Tim and I are going to have to be on our best behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And that's the only tip. That's the only tip I will give the people out there in chat and listen to this later. Tim and I would need to be on our best behavior. But first, Kathleen, we'll see if Kathleen gets that. She has got somebody else that I don't want to mention yet because we haven't tied down a name that's also incredible. And we're just starting to book that. And Rachel Brinke.
I'm so excited for her.
Wait. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. What else?
You told me about WPPI.
Oh, yeah. She's going to be speaking at WPPI, I think. I think that's still in process.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is I'm thinking about maybe having her come on once a season. Thinking about the show as a season.
Okay.
You know, so we're now doing the fall season. She's thinking about something for her to come on during the fall season, and as Rachel does every time, she does a good giveaway. So she's thinking about doing another giveaway related to us.
Yeah, crazy giveaway.
It will be. She's thinking right now between a computer or a camera. A computer or a camera. Really, I don't know how she does this, but she's thinking about giving away 2 good products.
I'm quitting as a host so I can be eligible.
And so we'll announce that more whenever she gets that going and mix and decides, and we nail down a date. But we got a lot of exciting things coming on in the fall, and we just started booking people, so we have a lot more coming up. And that's all I have. I don't think we need to do a highlight thing.
No, I don't think it works that well without the guest talking.
No, I think Kathleen's distracted anyway.
Mm-hmm, I am.
She's paying bills.
I'm replying to Samantha. She asked if they can get guests to come on the show, and I'm telling her that you can just send us the names of guests that you guys would like to see on the show, and we'll contact them. Of course, it wouldn't hurt anything for you to go to like their Facebook page and say, I don't know if you've ever heard of the jpeg2RAW show, but I'd love to see you as a guest so we can hear more from you. I've offered your name up, that sort of thing.
Seth wants us to get Ansel Adams.
We probably could not do that.
Do it.
But you know, that's a great question. And if you think of somebody that you'd like to see us try to get on the show, is send an email. Either put it on our Facebook page or send us a Facebook message, or send me a email at podcast@jpeg2RAW.com. And with the name of the person, the host here, we have a shared spreadsheet on Google Docs where as soon as we get anybody, we put them in that spreadsheet, try and get their email address, their web page, all those links, and then over time we start looking them up and doing research on them. You'd be surprised at how long it takes to coordinate with some people and how fast other people are. The girls from oh good gosh, I forget everybody's name.
Pure.
The girls from Pure, like that. I send them an email. Yeah. They are like crazy fast in responding to me. Other people, I'm 12 emails deep before we finally work something out.
Yeah.
with maybe a week and a half between each email. So if you send to somebody and you saying, why haven't you got them on the show yet? Sometimes people just, their schedules won't work out and they can't come on the show. Other times it just takes a while to work them out. And also we don't want to have the same type of photographer every single week.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So we're going to have an exciting fall.
We are going to have an exciting fall, and it's just starting. Everybody out in chat, thank you for coming. We will see you again next week when we have the 3 hosts from the Average Guy podcast. Good night, everybody.
That's going to be awesome.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys. See you later.